Summary. In an article by the website Understanding Evolution, titled Natural Selection Hidden in Modern Medicine, they discuss the interesting idea that humans are evolving in tandem with the progress of technology. The authors of the article first present the difficulties of childbirth and how it has evolved through human history. They state that animals like chimpanzees have short labors, lasting an approximate 2 hours, while human labor is closer to 9 on average. This is due to the evolution of our upright standing, thereby narrowing our hips and making birth a more difficult task. As humans become smarter and smarter beings, the need for larger and larger brains was required. This tug of war, as they call it in the article, presents a problem for humans. Not only do we need narrow hips to move effectively upright, but we also need larger heads for larger brains. This is where modern medicine comes into play, and how it has ties to human evolution. Cesarean sections are procedures that help combat the risk of fatality to mother and child who fit into this tug of war. Mothers with narrow hips and babies with large heads would often mean the death of one or both parties involved. But since the procedure of C-sections have been made safer, they have become a very common practice. The article reports that since the widespread use of C-sections is so recent, there isn't a good way to tell if humans have started to have increasingly narrower hips and larger heads because of the increase in population of survivors with these traits. At the end of the article, the authors make some interesting points. Notably, they state that the two most powerful forces in evolution is birth and death, and that when either side is reinforced, that there are bound to be changes to occur. With that in mind, modern medicine has the availability to change the outcome of a bad birth and keep all parties alive, and in doing so, make small changes to the gene pool of humanity. Response. Immediately after reading this article, I posed the question to myself: if C-sections were helping or hindering human progression towards a fitter species? And I came up with the following answer: both. The act of cesarean sections is hindering the evolution of humans by allowing for less desirable alleles to continue to flourish. A mother whose birth canal is small will perhaps pass on that trait to their offspring. And if the child had a large head, it also means that they could also pass that trait on too. If we could fast forward the clock on humanity by a few thousand years, we might see that humans' heads will be overly large and that the birth canals of women have become unusable to the children they produce. Although with the use of C-sections, this doesn't present a huge problem. It does, though, when you take away the technology to operate a safe C-section. Again, imagine a world set in the future with narrow hips and large heads, and then C-sections are removed. This would effectively kill our species. If the mother cannot birth their child without the use of technology, this becomes a crutch that weakens our survivability. However, I can also see the implementation of modern medicine being a positive to our development as a species. For example, if our heads continued to grow, our collective brain power would rise. If our hips narrow, we would be better suited for walking upright. Since these two evolutionary benefits seem to work against each other, we are in a unique position to be able to get both of the benefits and skip out on the devastating drawback. It could be argued that the use of tools to extend our life and improve the quality of living is actually a form of evolution. Although our bodies aren't adapting to become more imposing and fit creatures, our technologic and medicinal advancements make it possible for us to benefit from some helpful traits that we otherwise wouldn't have access to. So, in a roundabout way, we are evolving through the creations we make. At the end of the day, though, we need to remember what's really important, and that is that our humanity is preserved. Although C-sections may be hindering our evolutionary advancement as a species, the alternative is to let mothers and children die, and that is obviously not an option. It's the goodness of a human heart that makes this all worth living, and if we suspend our morals to benefit our longevity as a species, I fear we would be prolonging an undesirable life. Thank you for listening. Summary. In an article by the